Jim Cantore from the Weather Channel back on the program. Jim, good morning. Where are you right now?
Dan, good morning. It's been a while, my friend. Fort Pierce, Florida. So we're down in what they call the Treasure Coast of Florida.
Okay, why are you there?
Well, yesterday the forecast for 4 a.m. was to have 125 mile per hour winds over the top of us, and we moved in a position to you know the drill. You've been out. Where are you going to put your truck? Where is it going to be best protected from the weather? Where can we actually get a signal out through the worst of the storm? So logistics pretty much moved us to this spot yesterday. We had to get off the barrier island. We were at Melbourne Beach, right on the beach with no protection. So we moved down here, and the forecast, thank goodness, did not verify. We pretty much got half that in terms of the wind speed, 60, 70 miles an hour.
So it's weird, though, that your bosses at the Weather Channel are going to send you to what they think would be the worst areas?
That's correct. Man. Exactly right. That's love, isn't it? That's love.
Okay, but how's this go over with the family? Like, I know you've been doing this for over 30 years, but you know you're headed into harm's way.
I mean, how does being a race car driver go over the family when you're driving around making left turns at 200 miles an hour? How does being a soldier go with the family when you're over there taking enemy fire or whatever the heck else they're doing? It's the job. It's what I do. It's what we do, and I take the mission and embrace it and do it the best I can.
What's the biggest complaint you have when you do this and you're in harm's way and you're telling people about this? What bothers you the most about the people's reaction to your reports?
A lot of times people, I think, kind of make it. They try and play meteorologists, and they, like, for example, for the first time in my life, actually, I saw the director of the Hurricane Center just come out about 2 hours ago and essentially plea people that are in the storm surge warning to leave because he's very, very concerned about people going underwater in parts of Georgia, northern Florida, and South Carolina. And I've never seen that from a director. So that was pretty incredible. I know this man. I mean, I know I can speak to his character, Dr. Rick Knabb, and he, really a heartfelt plea to get people out of harm's way. So the answer to your question is when people just kind of ignore, what we're asking them to do. I mean, if you live on the coast, you got to realize you're putting yourself in harm's way and prepare yourself a plan. Where are you going to go? You're going to go stay with relatives. You're going to go to an inland hotel. Just kind of make it a drill, a part of your life. And when people don't do that, it does kind of, as they say, frost my cake.
But you're also, when you look at trying to tell people about this, give us an idea of the areas that you think are going to be in real danger here in the next 12 hours.
I mean, first of all, there's always uncertainty. Yesterday at this time, if you had asked me, we were making a decision to move me off the barrier island because we just thought with the place that we had to stay, a house that wasn't boarded up and weakly built, and being that close to the beach where we could actually have the water coming over the top of the dunes, you know what? Maybe it's not really a good idea to stay here. We don't want to be a part of the story. So we made a decision to come down here to Fort Pierce, which logistically set us up in a much better position to broadcast during the hurricane. I mean, we asked people to leave. We asked them to evacuate. And, to me, I've always kind of taken the approach, the least I could do is take these people through it. I could show them why they left and show them how bad it was. Now, fortunately, the storm stayed another 30 miles offshore. We had some weird things going on with the core of the hurricane, and that did not allow those 120-mile-per-hour winds to make their way onshore. That's a very good thing.
Jim Cantore from the Weather Channel joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Here's another thing that I always hear. Whenever there is a potential storm, not like this, a hurricane, but then, that storm, and it's going to be a bad storm, and then it never happens, it feels like. That's when people look at the local weather and say, it just feels like we're going to scare people to watch the local weather. Do you hear that complaint?
I know hundreds of meteorologists out there, and I can't think of one of them that purposely walks on the air to try to scare people. We take the forecast to the best of our ability and try to interpret it to people so that they can stay safe for themselves and their families. That's really the modus. And so, that said, sometimes the forecast doesn't pan out perfectly. But I'm going to tell you this. I'd rather be yelled at because the forecast didn't verify that way than not have something happen where I didn't prepare somebody. That means that you've really not done your job.
When's the last time you really thought you were in some serious trouble?
You know what? I mean, we've always, one of the things about logistics is you always kind of have an escape route. Do we have a sturdy building? Are we in the surge zone? I think with Katrina, we're a little misled as to how high we were above sea level, and that's why we lost 4 vehicles. That was a little unnerving. Not so much for me because I understand storm surge. I know water comes up in hurricanes, but for a lot of my colleagues, my photographers, audio folks, producers who don't know the meteorology, don't understand why is the water coming up? Why are we all of a sudden a part of the Gulf of Mexico? So that's those kind of things bother me. But I think really it's on my shoulders to make sure my crew's safe out here. That's part of my job, in addition to communicating the weather.
How much you benching these days?
Dan, I prepared for this question. I'm up to 100 pounds now, dude, and I'm so excited about it. I just got my bench up to 100.
Come on. You got Ed Hockley guns going there, Jim. Don't be modest. Come on.
I'm not a super bencher. We've had this discussion. I'm a 225 guy, pump it up 2-3 times. That's where I max out at. And I'm good with that. I'm really good with that. I'm comfortable with that, Dan.
Has anybody ever made a shirt? If you see this man in your town, get out, and we just have a picture of you?
A shirt? How about all the memes? Have you gone on Facebook and Twitter? I mean, if Cantore comes to town, what's the one? Cantore is like getting a divorce, and your ex-wife takes when Cantore shows up, it's like getting a divorce. Your ex-wife takes everything. That kind of stuff.
Wow, it's kind
of pretty creative.
Mean-spirited.
Yeah, well, you got to do.
Yeah. If you see him in town, get out. Jim Cantore. Be safe there. How long does this watch, should we be aware of this? The whole weekend with this hurricane?
As much of the fact that Florida has done pretty well with this in terms of escaping the core of the hurricane, what is unavoidable now, Dan, is kind of what I call part 2 of this, tonight and tomorrow morning in the storm surge. We're really worried about very, very high water rises in southern Georgia, the beautiful Golden Isles of Georgia. You probably Sea Island, that beautiful place. I mean, water's going to come up big time there to the likings that people have never seen before. So even with a storm that's weakening or may stay left or right of track, depending on what's happening with the core, it's already set up to happen. So I'm worried that people are looking at the storm. Oh, it's weaker. Oh, it didn't really give Florida the big wins. Guess what? It's going to give the storm surge component. So Northeast Florida, Georgia, and really even into Charleston, I think are at risk of that. And we may even get 10 to 12 to 18 inches of rain in interior South and North Carolina. So we're about, I'd say, a third of the way through this.
Well, good to have you on as always, and as always, be safe.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jim.
it.
That's Jim Cantore, Weather Channel. Been there over 30 years. A certified broadcast meteorologist. Like, there's no joke there. I don't know the difference between being a meteorologist and a certified broadcast meteorologist. Yes, Eden.
Do you think that's like a point of contention or like trash talk when they're at the convention?
You're just a meteorologist.
You're not even certified, bro.
Yeah.
Certified this.
Yeah.
Where's your certification?
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.